I got over marriage in the fire.
I've got a couple cool
Right.
ones.
Yeah.
I like.
It's never.
I mean, I had a Chili Davis signed
Yeah,
autograph
definitely.
Nice.
way back in the day, and
Yeah.
then
Good,
he was
so-
my hitting
Wow.
coach in AAA. So I still have that, and then obviously he was hitting coach for the Cubs. So that's one of my coolest ones. I got a Miguel Cabrera one.
What a
love.
cool dude, huh, Tommy?
Oh my gosh, he's amazing. He's amazing. Good, great guy.
Chili Davis, good dude.
Awesome.
Great dude.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beyond.
Awesome.
You know, people, those Joe Torre teams at the Yankees, when you ask Joe Torre about that clubhouse, he says that 90% of the problem never got to him because of two guys, Joe Girardi and Chili Davis.
Wow.
Hey, Tommy, can you hear me? This
Tommy,
is
you
Kevin, the
got me?
director.
I want to go get my
Yeah, I can
Kelsey
hear you.
jersey right now.
Throw it up there. We should wear
If
them.
we could have
Yeah,
you,
well, thanks, guys.
is it possible for you to raise up your tablet? Maybe put a book or something underneath it?
Yeah, let me grab something here.
Thanks. We're not looking up at you.
I enjoyed looking at Tommy's nose hair. Why are you doing this?
How's that? Any better?
That's much better. Perfect. Let's just center you up now in your shot. And then you should see yourself in a triple box, Rick and Cole.
Yep.
Perfect. And just try and stay still during the interview if you can. Not move around too much, as we just don't want you to get out of these boxes.
Perfect.
Tommy, we're taking a lot of time to hook you up here. What's the deal? What's the problem?
It takes a lot to get this looking good, man. Come on. I need a little work.
Hey, Tommy, are you the youngest pitching coach in Major League Baseball?
I believe I was last year. I think the Yankees guy they just hired, I think, is younger than me. But
Okay.
I'm not positive. Actually, Chris Young and I were the two youngest last year, our new bullpen coach, and we're like 2 months
Yeah.
apart, 3 months apart. So
Did you think
Rick,
this is what
Rick,
you'd be
is it
doing at
possible to
37 years
your
old?
headphones
Real
underneath
quick.
your shirt?
Couldn't two people were talking?
Sorry, Rick, real quick. Is it possible for you to tuck your headphones underneath your shirt? Tuck them, under your shirt and up through?
Maybe.
Thanks.
Don't unplug them, Rick. Take them out of your ears and thread them up. Yeah, there you go.
I don't know if that's the right way or not. No, it's not. It's not. It's not possible. My cord's not long enough, but I'll get a longer cord for the next time we do this or whatever.
That's all right. Thanks for trying. Andrew, I need about 1 more minute here.
All right, real quick for Rick and Cole, I'm just gonna put a text in that text chain.
That's side box.
Yeah, that side box that we talked about
Yes.
earlier, Rick. Just make sure you can see that.
You
Was
just
that
sent
Tommy
the hi
just
guys.
wanting to see my abs again?
Yep, absolutely.
I've been looking for them for about 30 years, Tommy.
So Cole, you can see those messages, right?
Yeah, you just said hey guys on the message.
Yep. Rick, you got that?
You got it.
What's that?
That message on the side, the message window.
No, it's not there yet. No.
So if you
Where is
tap
there?
the
Like
bottom
a-
of your screen,
You're blocking half of Cole with another square of me that I don't need. I don't think. Maybe
You
I
can
do.
click that one off, Rick, if you get that little toolbar at the bottom and see the one that's just like a green rectangle outline.
The green rectangle?
If
Yeah.
you click that off,
Okay.
the extra screen of you will go.
That helps a lot. Yeah. Okay.
There
I
you
don't
go.
have the side box though.
and then so on that all the way to the right in that same box, there's a little bubble on the right side of that bar. You can just tap that and you'll
Looks
see
like a
it pop
text
up.
message.
Yeah.
Looks like a text message.
It looks like a little
Um,
bubble, like a chat thought bubble.
There it is. Hey, cool.
Boom.
Great. So that's
Hey, Tommy.
how we'll
Tommy, I am
we'll kind of
coachable.
track it.
That's right. You got it.
Yeah.
Then Miller, I'm just going to get a quick mic check from everybody if I can. Cole, can you just give me a nice slow 5 count real quick?
Hey, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Then Rick, could you do the same for me, please? Just a slow 5 count.
1, 5, 4, 2. Thought I'd mix it up a little bit.
And once more from you, Tommy, please.
Yeah. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thanks so much.
And Rick, I'm just gonna intro Tommy, welcome him in, ask him how he's doing, and then hit him with just a question about just everything that's going on right now, and then
Cool.
we'll just ping pong back and forth.
Yep.
Yeah, and we'll just alternate like Cole said there. I'll guide it in the chat window too. Kevin, we all set?
Yep, just setting the record. Stand by.
Cole, I'll remind you at the end, but just when we're getting to the end of the interview, we're going to be teasing Ernie Banks the next block.
You got it. Is there is that on my phone? Did you send
outcome.
that to me? Do we have that one? Let me just double check. I think I put.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's there. I'll have it. Let's see. Boom,
Okay.
Boom, boom, boom. That is okay. Ernie Banks creates special memories for Cubs fans. You got it.
Yep.
I'm all set, Andrew.
All right. Well, we'll start on a 3 box, and I'll count you in, Cole. 1 second.
Yep.
Just a 3 box whenever you're ready, Deuce. Awesome. All right, here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey, we continue to roll here on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite, and that was back in February. Cubs pitching coach Tommy Hotovy giving Rick Sutcliffe and Marquee Sports Network a sneak peek at a side session for the professor, Kyle Hendricks. So without further ado, let's welcome in the man right there. It's Tommy Hotovy, second-year pitching coach for the Cubs. Tommy, welcome to the show, and how have you been?
Guys, thanks for having me, first of all. Doing well. I mean, doing well as we can, under the circumstances. I think the number one thing for me is just having an opportunity to be home during these times that we haven't ever been able to. If you're in this baseball life and have been around it for a long time, I mean, these are usually busy months for us, and I know my wife and kids are enjoying the time, having dad home for a little bit. So it's been enjoyable and getting to spend some time with the family that we don't normally get to.
Now, you touch on that opportunity. When it comes to spring training and the opportunity to get back to playing baseball again, there looks to be a second installment, hopefully right around the corner. So when it comes to guys on the staff, whether it be starters or relievers, is that going to be enough time for them to get ready for an actual season when it comes to their arms and velocity and everything that goes into pitching a full season?
I mean, we hope so. I think a lot of us are just so used to the time frame we're given in spring training. And, one thing we're trying to relay to guys is, just having the ability to get whatever we can get in now so that when we do hit that spring training 2.0, as we kind of call it, that, we'll be ready to hit the ground running. The one thing we have to be understanding about is just how different the circumstances are for each guy. First and foremost, I think we need to focus on the health and safety of all of our players. And certain guys live in different parts of the country, so they may have accessibility to different resources. So understanding where guys are, communicating, and once we get to that date and guys do show up, then we'll have a better understanding of where they are. But we can't be naive to think that everybody's going to come in at the same level. Again, we have to kind of take this on a player by player basis and see where they are and just kind of give them the best guidelines we can to get ready for that time.
A lot of people give credit to Steve, well deserved for what done. When the Cubs really turned the corner, it was in 2015. Joe Madden became the man. We know that came to the people might not know. 14, you were hired as run benching coach. Why get the credit that you
Hold on, guys.
deserve for?
Stop down here real quick. Sorry there, Rick. Hold up, guys. We're just getting a little technical difficulties. So
Yeah, Rick,
let's-
you're cutting in and out. Rick, Tommy was looking. I could hear him trying to decipher what you were saying through the choppiness.
I had no chance there.
Yeah, I could see you were like, looked like me in geometry class back in high school.
No, that's great. I was starting to piece it, trying to put a puzzle together.
Right.
I did okay in geometry. My teacher in geometry in high school was also my baseball coach.
Nice.
That's good.
Was that me?
Hey, Rick, how you doing? This is Kevin Riley, one of the engineers.
Yeah, Kev.
We're having a little issue
No, I
with your
don't.
connection right now. I was wondering if it might be possible to try to use your phone on data instead of your iPad that you're using right now. I think usually that fixes it really, really fast, and you'll be able to plug your headsets right into the phone also. Is that possible?
I don't know.
And you would just sign off on your iPad and use the exact same link, and it brings you on just like you're on your. So if you just sign off, hit that red button or the red phone, go to the same email, sign right back on with your phone. Okay, it looks like he's gone.
Yep. And I don't know how much easier or anything it is with when you do it on the phone. But if you want to, just as instead of if he can't get the message box up on the side, I'd say just buzz him with a text, like when he needs to rap or whatever,
yeah.
and just let him know
I'm just
that.
worried that if I text him, he could click off you know what I mean?
Oh shit, he'll be on his phone. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Right, and
No,
the window won't go up. It's just harder to see.
We'll keep it just back and forth.
Yep.
We'll just keep to that rhythm.
Miller, when he gets back, we'll put him in the double box.
What was that, Deuce? Sorry.
Oh, Tommy, like I was asking you earlier, man. I think there was a bunch of people talking. You're 37, right?
Double box.
So I'm 38, going to be 39 in July.
Okay.
There
Did
you
you
go.
ever think when you were 38 that you'd be pitching coach for the Cubs?
No,
Pretty
no,
sweet gig.
definitely not. Definitely not.
How am I doing now? Can anybody hear me?
You have
You're back in, Rick, and you're doing well. Do you know if your phone is connected to your Wi-Fi or if it's on cellular? We want to turn the Wi-Fi off right now because we believe it's your data connection that's slowing things down.
It is connected to Wi-Fi.
Can you
Turn the
can you
Wi-Fi
turn
off?
off the Wi-Fi and just let it do on cellular?
Hello?
Yep, we hear you.
Okay. My Wi-Fi is off, and I think. I don't hear anybody. Am I doing something
Test,
wrong?
Rick.
You got us? Do you hear me, Rick?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, let's go with this. Sit back if you
How do
can, and
I,
I'll frame you up.
I want to get rid
You
of
hear
that
me, Ray?
box,
Yeah.
and I
There
can't
we
get
go.
rid of it.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, let's go with this.
I'm just gonna pick it up from Rick's
Sit back
question.
if you can, I'll frame you up.
Yeah, we'll pick it up with Rick asking a question, and then we'll just alternate back and
Yep.
forth. So don't even worry about the box.
No doubt. You got it.
Just 1 second while our director frames everything up, and then we'll get going right away.
All right, I'm all good, starting on double box.
All right, here we go. Rick, we'll start with you. 5,
We're
4,
okay.
3, 2.
Well, first of all, Cole, as you know, I don't think Tommy Hotovy gets enough credit for the job that he has done. A lot of people think that he took over the Cubs in 2019, but the truth be known, he became the run prevention coach in December of 2014. Tommy, from that role to your second year as a pitching coach, tell me some of the changes that have gone on as far as your role is concerned.
Yeah, that's a great question, Rick. I say this all the time. When I got into that role in 14, going into 15, and I didn't get into that role to be a pitching coach. I got into that role to help guys understand and be a resource for guys to decipher what all this new world was going to be in baseball, which is the analytical side of things. I had just been with enough teams and around enough organizations down the stretch of my career to see just still the disconnect between some of the front offices and the coaching staffs and the players and how information was being translated, and I think, what I envisioned that role to become was just a conduit between all these different people, being a resource at the major league level and helping guys get better and win games. And my role just grew as the game grew. Right around 2014 and 15 was really when we started getting a lot more of like the TrackMan data and more pitch specific data that we just never really had, a grasp on. And so to kind of be there at the ground level with some of that was part of what I'd be a part of. I loved analytics. I loved the math side of the game and being able to help these guys figure out what was going to help them get better. And I think that's the fun part of what we get to do. As I've grown into the pitching coach role, we're using more and more information every single year, every day, almost to that matter. So, helping these guys grow as the game is growing and finding new and important ways to tie in the information we're learning with some old school ideas and thought processes that have been around for years. I think we're trying to do a combination of that. So, for me, just the way this has evolved over this 5-year period, I've definitely grown as the game has grown and as analytics has kind of evolved in MLB.
Now, Tommy, you've grown. The game has grown. We've seen you mature as far as your roles in the organization. You had the experience as a player as well as with analytics. Do you see yourself now going from being a pitching coach right now to one day becoming a manager of someone's club, especially when you have all those numbers at your fingertips?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, being in the dugout with Joe last year and seeing what what the manager goes through. Obviously, I was lucky and fortunate enough to play at the major league level and being around enough managers and in games. And I know Rick can attest to this too. No matter how long you've been around the game and you've been in the dugout, when you're the one at the helm and you're the one making those split-second decisions, it's difficult. And a guy like Joe that did it for as long as he has is really a joy to get to learn from. And now seeing Rossi kind of take over that helm and a guy that has been behind the plate for some of the biggest games in not only MLB history but definitely Cubs history as well. Watching those guys perform, I mean, it takes a different level of not just knowledge of the game, but just the awareness of how to handle situations, things like that. To say that's something down the road I'd be interested in doing, who knows? Like I said, 5 years ago, I didn't get into this game to be a pitching coach. I was in this game to help guys get better. That was the bottom line. And again, as this game continues to evolve and we continue to grow as an organization, and as an industry, really, for that matter. I think we just got to keep your options open. But for right now, I love being a pitching coach. I love being part of this organization and what we're trying to accomplish and win another championship.
Hey, Tommy, I know that you made it to the big leagues as a player. You're a big league pitching coach now, but I think you might have made a mistake as far as your career is concerned. Do you ever look back and have any regrets that you didn't sing more karaoke with Eddie Vedder?
Well, as you guys know, Rick, I said, fortunate enough for people that don't know, I got to sing karaoke with Eddie at the Cubs camp. Sorry, I'm spacing on the name.
Randy Hundley's fantasy camp.
Yeah, the fantasy camp. And everybody was making fun of me because I kind of stole the show. I told Rick, Rick, that was an audition. That wasn't karaoke a team. I was auditioning. That was a one-time opportunity. I had to take advantage of it.
Tell us how it all came about. I mean, we're in there, karaoke's going on, Ryan Dempster's stealing the show, and the next thing, how did you end up there with Eddie?
Well, we go there, and obviously I was there early in spring training, so it was cool getting to go to the fantasy camp and see those guys perform. And Eddie was like, "Hey, you come, tonight we're gonna do a fantasy camp karaoke." I'm like, "Yeah, we'll be there." So we go, and all the guys want Eddie to sing. They keep asking him to sing and want him to sing songs, and he keeps saying, "No, I'm not gonna do it. Not gonna do it." He was just there to enjoy himself. And then he comes up to me out of nowhere, and he asked if I knew any Van Halen songs. And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I mean, I know some Van Halen." Yeah. And he's like, "Okay." And then he walks away, and I was just like, "Okay." He was just asking if I knew Van Halen. And then they announce, "All right, we need Eddie." And then I'm like, "Okay, Eddie's going to sing." And then they go, "And Tommy to the stage." I'm like, "All right, I guess I'm going to sing some Van Halen with Eddie Vedder." So it was good.
Was it Sammy Hagar or David Lee Roth, though? I think that's the bigger question, Tommy.
You know what? It was all a blur. I was just going along with the flow. I knew the lyrics at least. So that was good.
I will say it. The only complaint I heard was people would like to have heard a little bit more of Eddie.
That's what I said. It was an audition for me. I mean, I backed off and gave him his solo. We played it well. I got the best thing, the highlight for me is that Eddie gave me good reviews after. So I've got that to go for.
That's always good. And the expectations for this season, hopefully as high as that karaoke session. Tommy, when you take a look at 2020 and what potentially lies ahead, what do you hope to see from this pitching staff this year?
Number one, I think we just want to continue to build off of some things that we did last year that we felt like we did really well, especially some of the younger relievers that started to come into their own. I think being able to see them grow and develop, Rowan Wicks, the Brad Wicks, Kyle Ryan, what he was able to do, put up over 70 appearances, was a tremendous feat for him. And so just continue to build off the things we did last year and kind of hit the ground running, like we talked about with Darvish and what he was able to do in the second half, what our bullpen was able to do second half, when we had some key injuries. So giving those guys opportunities to get thrown into the fire a little bit and get tested, and now come into a new season with a little different attitude, a little different perspective on what it takes to be a major league pitcher. I think for us, one thing that's interesting is we have the potential. I mean, we are going to have the potential of having 8 brand new relievers in our bullpen from what we had opening day last year. Of the 8 guys, Chatwood's the only guy that's back, and he's probably vying for a starting rotation. So we could have 8 brand new relievers or more now if they expand the rosters that were not on the opening day roster for us last year. So that's just amazing to think about. You think about turnover in this league and how that changes. But Kyle Ryan wasn't on the opening day roster. Still had 70 games. Obviously, Kimbrel came halfway through. Roe Wick and those guys were in our organization, but they weren't on the opening day roster. So still we have a unique group of guys that haven't had, let's say, an opening day, and a lot of guys fighting for those spots in that pen, and it's going to be fun to watch how that all plays out.
Yeah, so
Tommy,
much potential with this 2020 staff. Go ahead, Rick.
Tommy, your assessment of things that they have in common and maybe some differences between your first year with Joe Madden and the spring training that you had with David Ross.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Joe does such a good job of playing to the strengths of every player, and knowing the importance of when to give a guy a rest, and when to get off the field when they need to, and really when to, just how well he can manage people. With Rossi, Rossi brings just this infectious personality. This personality is going to push you every single day to be the best, whether you're a player, a coach, a clubhouse attendant, a trainer. He expects the best of himself, so he's going to get the best out of us. And I think, what's unique about Rossi is just his hunger and willingness to be, open, and his willingness to continue to learn, as he's evolving in this game, and as we're all growing together. And just seeing that in spring training, seeing the reactions the players had, around him, and just that it just absolutely infectious personality he brings to the park every single day.
Yeah, David Ross looking to lead by example in 2020, much like second-year pitching coach Tommy Hotovy. Tommy, thanks so much for taking time out with Sutton and I on Cubs 360 today. Appreciate it.
Guys, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, and stay safe. Crazy times, but it's good to be able to connect with you guys. Thank you.
Likewise, the pleasure is all ours. Now, still to come right here on Cubs 360, Ernie Banks. He created special memories for Cubs fans throughout his Hall of Fame career. Now we're going to tell you why today marks a special moment in his legacy. That's when Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite, returns. Don't move.
Tommy, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate the time.
All right. Hey,
thanks, Tommy.
Cole,
Yeah, guys,
you and Tommy
thanks, no
need
problem.
to thank me before we go here, okay?
Thanks,
I
Rick.
broke my rule of thumb that I did years ago with Mike Piazza. I'm interviewing him, and he's giving me some static, and I go, hey, you better not get on me. I broke my rule of thumb interviewing you. He said, what's your rule? And I go, I don't usually do interviews with guys better looking than me. And just straight face, he looked into the camera, and he goes, who do you talk to? Honest.
Good.
One of my first interviews with ESPN. Didn't go real well.
Guys, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tommy. Appreciate it, man.
Take care, Tommy.
All right, guys, you too.
I can't get rid of me up there. Well,
So now we'll have Len and Bruce join us, and we'll do the rest of the show here. Dusold, you want to just work with Sutcliffe real quick on the camera?
I can't get rid of this box up here with me. Like I did on my computer. Cole, you helped me get rid of it earlier. There's nothing down below.
Yeah, I don't know how to use it on the phone, though. I've never used it on the phone because I feel like for me, I have to have a computer to keep the train on the tracks.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Hey, Rick, you got me here?
Yeah. I can't
Awesome.
get rid of this box up here with me. I need that to go away.
Stand by. I'll bring in Kim Riley for that.
That's the third box from the right on that little bottom tab. Did that do it?
Third box from the right. There's nothing there for me to. Nothing comes up.
We'll have
on
our
my
engineer
phone.
jump in here.
I can do it.
Rick, you been golfing
at
all?
I have been, yeah, and I'm headed to the course with my 7-year-old grandson when we hang up here. Yeah. How about you?
Nice. Yeah, I played on Friday. I Played. I was atrocious on the front. I hadn't played in a year though, because my little one plays so much softball. So last year,
Oh yeah.
from March on,
You got
like
a
into
girl,
December,
right?
she was. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she played softball last year every weekend. So I didn't play any golf. So I played on
Does
Friday,
she
and then I
does she
played
play
yesterday.
golf?
She used to, which is crazy because she's only 8.5. But I feel like since she plays so much softball, like she just doesn't even mess with it because her swing, like she swings her golf club and picks her foot up like she's swinging a bat. And she like I ask her if she wants to play other stuff, but she just wants to play
How
nothing
you
but
doing? This
softball.
is Kevin
So
Riley, the
that's
engineer
fine with
again. You
me.
hear me?
I got it. Yep.
You want to get rid of the box that shows you, right? Is that what you're trying to
I
get
want
rid
to
of?
get rid of the one that's just me. I don't. Yeah, if that could go away, that'd
Okay.
be great.
Now you know that little bar with all the icons on it. It starts with a phone, then it looks like a camera, a microphone, and then a rectangle. If you're on your
Yeah,
phone, you just got to tap the screen, and you'll see it.
the
Just
red
tap the
the red
screen.
camera.
No, to the right of the red camera, two of them is a rectangle. No, the camera, you just turned your video off. Turn the camera back on, make
See,
that green. And then two over to the right is a rectangle. Touch that one.
Two over to the right is a what?
A triangle. It's probably green, but when you touch it, it'll on that same menu
Yeah.
bar as the camera was on.
It's
Not
only
on
that
your-
way on my iPad. Should I do it on my iPad?
No. Your iPad ain't working right now because you're connected to your phone.
Well, see, I
Ross,
don't have
you-
it. I can't get it to come up here. I'm okay. We can do it without. The less I see of me, the better.
All right, Rick. The only thing, make sure that we're staring at our camera. I know you're working on your phone now, so it's more to your
Yeah.
left.
There it is over there, right there.
Yeah, right there. You got it. Nope.
This is it. Oh, it's on
The other way.
on the right then.
No, it should be
Is
on
it
your
this
left.
way?
Yes.
On my left. Okay, got it.
Yep, you're looking at it right there. And then if your microphone on your right-hand side, make sure it doesn't tuck under your collar and tap. Yeah, so just try and be mindful of that. I know it won't tuck under your shirt,
It won't.
but yep, there you go. Perfect.
I'm not in that fourth box. Like
You should see the whole panel here, all four of you guys.
but I don't see me. It's blacked out on me over there. There's nothing there.
Dusold, what are you seeing? I think it might much be on yours because the feed looks
I see.
good.
I see Cole,
There's
Bruce,
a four.
Lynn, and then
Hey, Rick, do you see the text bar where all the information is in?
yeah.
Your picture is under that bar. That's why you don't see the fourth square.
Shouldn't my picture be under the Miller Lite sign? It's not.
Or you don't. You see the text. So you see the text box, right?
Yeah, right there.
I just
Up
put a
top.
text in there to make sure everyone can see it.
Can everybody see this? Yeah.
But he's saying it's black. There's no picture.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
But you see that text bar, and you see the
Yeah.
Miller sign, Miller Lite sign.
Yes.
I think that's the first time we've had that happen. But as long as we can see you well, the feed looks good on our end, right? Dusold?
Oh, and I'm fine. I'm fine. We can go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
He
I'm
looks
just
at himself
framing up.
enough.
Stand by.
Rick, can you see that last message we just posted in there?
No.
You don't see a
Nothing
message from Riley.
No. That's why
I don't think-
hey Cole, I walked on you one time.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to. I have no side box telling me when to go or not. I apologize for that, but I didn't know.
No, it's all good.
No, we can clean that up easily. Don't worry about it. Let's
How,
try to see
how
if we
dare
can get
you,
it
Rick?
up. So do you see that little taskbar on the bottom? You should see six
Yeah, a little straight
icons.
bar.
Yeah, so click the icon all the way to the right. and then the text box should pop up.
Oh, I just lost everything now.
Now he just went black on mine.
Yeah, I just went
So
out.
whatever button you just clicked, click that one again. I think you might have clicked the camera button.
All right.
All right, I just saw him log back in there. That's good.
Yeah. What you got there, Len? You drinking a little coffee this morning or what?
Oh yeah,
Nice.
for
Now,
sure.
fresh ground?
Oh no, I do the. I've got a Keurig, and I also do the Starbucks Via packs, which are easy.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
Rick, can you hear us?
I don't hear him. I don't see him.
Yeah, I think even though he's logged in, I think he's muted.
I just used to go with regular pre-ground coffee, Len, and then I ordered some from my buddy and Kevin Euclid's place because they have a roastery too up
Oh
there with
yeah.
the brewery, and they sent me like 2 bags of beans, and I was like, "What am I gonna do with these
You don't.
beans?"
Right.
Yeah, so I just went and got a little grinder. I think like $20.
Nice.
Getting some serious construction, Bruce.
Tuck pointing a 38-story building.
Yeah, I've got the American weather makers are here, so hopefully
Can't be any worse than what
What
I'm
is
getting.
that?
Bruce, can you
What's
tilt that a
American
touch?
weather
Is that
makers, man?
possible? A little too much there. Yeah, for some
Not good?
reason, you can't split the difference there.
No. It's just the angle of the camera leaning on my
That's fine. Can
computer.
you just sit up any straighter if you can? Perfect. Thank you.
how was Hadavi? I'm sure great.
Excellent.
He's here, right? He's in Chicago.
I didn't even ask him where he was at.
Yeah, I think he
I
moved
did
here
not.
full time.
Yep.
We got a problem here in Illinois. The governor might keep us closed down till mid-June or even July 1st at this point.
I mean, I understand that there needs to be things put in place, but I feel like
People are still dying
I guess
here.
there's,
People are still dying
yeah,
at record pace here.
I think they're saying that the optimal shutdown is what, 12 weeks? So they're saying a month.
What do you mean?
I don't know. That's what like a lot of doctors are saying that the places that are reopening, they're reopening, too soon, essentially. They're saying
Right.
like on like
That's
even like
right.
when you look at the Spanish flu back in 1917 or whatever, 1918, like
Okay.
they were, they tried to quarantine for 3 months
There he is. You look great.
Rick,
I
this
can.
is Evan.
Yeah.
You hear me?
Yeah. And now I'm in
Okay.
that box that I wasn't in.
Right. And
Oh,
But I'm
right.
still. I still got that big thing blocking Cole and Bruce. If I could get rid of that, or if you guys
okay.
could.
Well, let me talk you through that real quick. I'm looking at my iPhone right now, and I see the problem you have. Touch the middle of your screen, and then scroll
Touch.
up
Touch
the
the
middle of your
middle.
screen, and then roll it up. You're looking too low, and you'll see that icon bar. Just kind of rub it up.
Okay. Now, how do I get? Do I push the one on the right to get rid of it?
No, the green rectangle gets rid of your image. Turns into a
Oh.
red rectangle with a line through it. You
Now,
touch the
now we
camera.
just lost it.
You touch the green camera again. Go ahead, touch the camera again.
Yeah. It went back to my deal.
Um,
I got it. I'm coming back.
okay.
And let's just go with it the way it was. Yeah. I can do it with.
There you go.
Oh, there he is.
Let's just go with it. I'm good. Yeah.
All right.
All right,
All right,
dude.
Rick.
So
The only
who are we
thing
gonna
is
start?
just make sure your microphone is on the other side of your collar.
There we go.
Maybe I can put it inside of this button.
Well, who do you want to start with? You want to start with Rick?
yeah, once we get Rick, can you see the
Is
text
that okay?
the text box?
No, I can't. It's like it's trying to come in, but it's blank.
Okay, let me try it again here. Just sent the new one. Hello, Rick. Do you see that?
No.
So
Bruce, Lynn, I apologize.
So,
No,
don't
no
worry about it.
worries. There's a little bit of a learning curve with this technology.
Yeah.
I was okay on my iPad, but do you want me to raise this up and try to get rid of it again?
no, you're okay.
Now leave your phone where it's at.
Okay. Let's just go. I'm good. I'm good. I can fake it. I'm used to working with John Shambi, so yeah. I don't know what it is you love about him, Lynn. I really don't.
And how about this
I
one,
love
Rick?
you
You're
both.
doing your first Cubs
And
360
then Rick,
today.
just make sure we're staring at the camera.
Yep.
Oh no! Mamma mia!
And so
Rick,
if you're
you're
going to
doing
leave your
first
phone
Cubs
there,
360.
slide a little to your left there, Rick. Or yeah, you're it's perfect.
Okay.
Thanks.
Nobody's ever told me that before.
I gave them
All right.
catchphrases to make you feel good.
Yeah. We actually have a bingo board going in the post process.
You look perfect.
So to keep everything easy, we'll start with Rick at the beginning of every segment.
Yep.
So just to give everyone traffic here, we'll have a hello, welcome in. Cole will introduce Rick as his first time on the panel. Rick, we'll just get a little comment from you. Just, great to be here. Something short. And then Cole will dive into the full screen about the owner's proposal that they sent to the players.
Is that for me?
Cole. So Cole will direct traffic from there. Cole will take all of that.
I'll tee you up, Rick.
And then coming off of that, he'll tee you up on our Miller Lite Refreshing Take, which is an agreement from the players and owners will be completed by Friday. We just changed the wording a little bit there. It's the same topic, but it's a little bit softer wording than the one we sent out earlier. So the new wording is
where do we get that?
that's they're saying that's our take, as in
That's the
do you think it'll happen or
refreshing
not?
take.
That's just we just put out,
Okay.
and you can that is an opinion that you can say no chance, or I think they
Okay.
can have it done this week. So it'll be the same topic, just a little bit different wording on the tee up.
Okay.
And then for our out bump, it's Cole will take it into Blue Angel flyover in Chicago for VO, and then into an out bump
Yep.
of Tommy Hotovy joining the show.
You got to do.
All right, Deuce, you ready to go?
Yep, and then just to confirm, Rick, your camera should be on more towards the left for your phone. You got it right there. Yep.
Okay.
See it?
So we'll do
Adam roll.
we'll do Rick, Bruce, then Len here for our order.
And then if we if there's time permitting, if we have time, and then I'm sure you could just pop in to Len if he wants to finish up a question, and then hand it off to Rick,
Yeah,
since he has
exactly.
no box to make it a little smoother.
Yeah, 100%. We'll be using you and
play producer in my head. Yep.
Okay, here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey there. Once again, this is Cubs 360 presented by Miller Lite, and I'm Cole right back at your service. Now, today it's a busy show. I want you to keep these two numbers in mind, 50 and 500. That's 50 and 500. We're going to talk about that. Plus, Tommy Hotovy, Cubs pitching coach. He's in his second year, and he's going to stop by to talk a little shop right here on the program. But we can't get into all that before we meet today's panelist. And let's welcome in former Cy Young Award winner. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Red Baron making his Cubs 360 debut, Rick Sutcliffe. Sut, welcome to the show, man.
Cole, it's exciting to be a part of the Marquee Sports Network. I got to be honest, this is one of the best teams I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, it's always good to see you and always glad to have you as a part of our team. And let's meet your running buddies for the day, because it's Mr. Cubs 360. He's covered Chicago sports for 30 plus years. It's Bruce Levine, and it'll be season number 16 on the call for this man with the velvety tones. It's Len Casper. And guys, we could be one step closer to potentially hearing Len on the call for the Chicago Cubs, hopefully sooner than later, because as we know, Major League Baseball's owners, they've submitted a proposal to the Players Association for review of the 2020 season. Now, here are some of the key details, according to multiple reports, which are as follows. It would be a 50-50 share of the revenue with the players, an 82-game schedule that starts by early July with games in home stadiums. That is, of course, provided that local governments give the clearance, an expansion of the postseason. It's going to go from 10 to 14 teams, and a 30-man active roster, which is more than that what we saw from 26. The designated hitter, that would also be a universal rule throughout the game. So let's get this thing popping early and often. It's time now for our Miller Lite refreshing take of the day, where, Rick, I ask you, the question is, the Players Association will agree to the owner's proposal by Friday. Yes or no? Which way you leaning?
Not by Friday. I really don't believe that. Cole, I'll be honest with you. I go back to a situation I was a part of in 1981 when the players went on strike. Yes, it was a different type of circumstance, but there are a lot of things that are in common right now that were back then. It's going to be a shorter season. There's going to have to be give and take on both sides. But ultimately, the goal is to get back on the field, and at some point before the year is over with, we need to crown another champion.
Well, I believe that it might not be Friday, but it should be very soon, because there's not a lot of time to fool around with this. Major League Baseball and the players need to be in agreement so they can start by sometime around June 10th, June 15th at the latest, to get their 3 weeks in and start the baseball season by July 4th. If they move much past that, and you're going to have a season with 50, 60 games, there's not much integrity in that. And you're going to have a hard time keeping the attention of the fan base. So agree upon the money. Right now, they seem far away, but they have to have cooler heads prevail and come up with an equity system here that fits both sides. The fans don't have much thought about or much care about how you divide it up. They just want their game back, and you better get it back for them. Both sides better adhere to that.
Yeah, this is just the beginning. So it's as Jeff Passan wrote on ESPN.com today. It's going to be ugly here in the next few days, and I don't really see any way they have an agreement by the end of the week. And you hope they have an agreement by the end of the month, because that's probably the time frame in terms of end of May, come to basically an agreement. Then by mid-June, it gives the players a couple of weeks to get ready for spring training 2.0. The one thing I would say is this is a big obstacle to get past, but it's not the only one. You have governments, local governments, who need to approve, that all these teams can play in their ballparks. The health and the virus will dictate when all of this stuff opens up. Players have to be on board with the protocols in place, and I think that is as important for a lot of guys, including Sean Doolittle, who had a pretty interesting tweet thread yesterday about, hey, before we get to the money stuff, we've got to make sure all these other things are in place. So I think it's a bit of a Herculean effort to get there, but I do think both sides have a vested interest in getting there. And the other thing, and Sut, you can address this. I know the fans matter a lot here, and everyone wants baseball to return. But when it affects you personally and you're on the front lines, I get the player side of this. Look, the owners are losing a ton of money, but if you're a player and you have a finite amount of time to make some money and you're trying not to set some sort of precedent for future generations, that weighs on your mind as a player, does it not?
It really does. But I will say the one thing in this situation is a lot like, again, it was back in 1981, where the Players Association, we all talked about there's got to be some give and take on both sides. Lynn, just look at this as a great opportunity for baseball to step up and show the fans just how much they mean to us by whatever it takes, getting back on the field when it's healthy as soon as possible.
Yeah, there's not going to be much that the fans are going to put up with as far as waiting a week or 10 days to hear about millionaires arguing with billionaires. That is the reality of this situation. And it's always when they say it's not the money, something else. Well, as Len put it, it is the money, but it is also the medical side of this. You have individual governors in individual states and individual mayors of cities that will help you decide. The state of Illinois may be behind other states as far as opening up, even opening up to 100 people being in one place like Wrigley Field or Guaranteed Rate on the south side of Chicago. So we have to listen to the medical people, and we need people to agree on these numbers without dragging it through the media and having the fans listen to people argue all the time.
Two quick final thoughts, Cole. This, to me, appears to be the plan. This is the one plan that everybody agrees is the best way to get this done. That's number one. Number two, talking to people inside the game. Once this happens, spring training starts, games start. If one or two players on each team ends up getting the virus, God forbid, we're going to have to plow ahead here. And I think there's got to be an understanding that that cannot derail the entire season. So that's why these protocols and how this all works with getting players to come in and replace them, how long that the players who are sick are in quarantine. Once those things are in place, I think the game itself will adhere to all that. And it may be a little bit bumpy, but as we all agree, it's better than no baseball at all.
Yeah, well, health willing, baseball will certainly have a golden opportunity with no live sports. They will have a captive audience. There's no doubt about that. Now, guys, the show is flying. Also, no doubt about that. And when you talk about flying, the Blue Angels, well, they raced through the skies of Chicago, Detroit, and Indianapolis as they continued their tour across the United States to honor the first responders who are on the front lines of the coronavirus pandemic. So, tip of the cap to the Blue Angels. Now, we're just getting warmed up here on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite. Cubs pitchers, well, they could be doing the same thing as they prepare for the 2020 campaign. Pitching coach Tommy Hotovy, he's going to join us to let us know how his staff has been affected by Major League Baseball's shutdown. That's next, right here. Don't move.
Great block there. Good insight on, it comes down to money, but a lot of politics involved too. It's not like they can just snap their fingers and play.
Good point, Bruce. Millionaires arguing with billionaires. Like, that's the same. That's the exact same conversation I was having with my pops.
I thought it was great how all three of us kind of came at it from a different angle. Great job,
Yeah.
Bruce and Lynn. Great job.
So
Well, your perspective is important.
absolutely, the B block is.
And
Go ahead.
hey, Lynn, I need to remind you, as I
Yes.
do Boog every game, for this show to be as good as it can be, less of you will mean more of me.
Got it. That's why I made sure I segued to you to make my point even better.
Mm-hmm.
So the B block is already on tape thanks to the Hottie interview we did beforehand. So this is the C block. We're going to be coming off a little package of Ernie Banks' 500th home run. It's the anniversary. Billy Williams has some great sound bites that we got on some green screen video to accompany that. And then Cole will segue us into what is your favorite Ernie Banks memory. I think it'll be good because we got a couple different perspectives here, which is nice. Take your time.
Which
You
way
can
we
go a minute. Let's go. We'll start with Rick again, just to make that easy.
Yep.
And then we'll go Rick, Len, and Bruce. We'll finish this off.
Cool.
Like I said, not a big rush. You guys got a minute each, so hopefully we'll hear some good stories. Dusold, ready to go? Also, Cole, real quick, just to remind you, at the end, we're teasing most exciting play in baseball as our bump.
Yep. Is it a walk-off? Is it stealing home?
Yep. There you go. All right.
How
Here
about
we go.
In the park grand slam?
Go ahead.
Tony Gwynn style. Tony Gwynn style.
Okay, here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2.
The fun continues here on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite. The gang still intact. It's Bruce, Len, and Rick. And guys, 50 years to the day, Ernie Banks becoming just the 9th player to join that 500 home run club. Unbelievable time. Sure does fly. And that was a milestone for Mr. Cub. And he had so many memorable moments on the north side. And Rick, I know you knew him well. So when it comes to your favorite Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks memory, let everyone know what it is.
Wow, Cole. As you said, I did have the opportunity to get to know him well. I spent a lot of time with him, particularly in spring training. I would have to say my favorite memory was the first time I had an opportunity to meet Ernie Banks. It was 1984. We had just clinched to go to the postseason for the first time in a long time. And when we get back to Wrigley Field, as we walked into the clubhouse, there was Ernie Banks, Billy Williams, Fergie Jenkins. And there was this other guy that was with him that, to begin with, I didn't recognize. Well, as I came down the stairs and I got to my locker, they came up to me. And Ernie Banks was right there with tears in his eyes. He hugged me. I didn't even know that he knew who I was. But this guy grabbed me. His name was Ron Sano. And with tears in his eyes, he looked at me. And he and Ernie and Billy and Fergie and Hundley, right on down the line, they looked at all of us and they said, "Thank you. You got these fans back to the postseason. You did something for these fans that we weren't able to do." And I could see in Ernie Banks' eyes the passion that he had for the Chicago Cub fan. And I'll never forget how eventually down the line I came back to play for him again. I started feeling that same love that I saw in Ernie Banks' eyes the first time I met him.
Yeah, that's a great memory, Sut. I got to know Ernie very well and was honored to have known him and to be a friend of his. And as you know, he always loved being in the friendly confines. I'm going to go back to that day when he hit his 500th home run. He thanked the fans, which was very Ernie-like after he hit the home run. The other quote in the post-game clubhouse celebration was so Ernie. Quote, "The riches of the game are in the thrills, not the money." And is that instructive for the conversation we had earlier in the show? And one other note, and it's a little bit of regret. There were only 5,200 fans in the ballpark that day, unfortunately, and as excited as they were, remember when David Ross hit the home run on the Sunday night, the last Cubs regular season home game in 2016, and he sat in the dugout, and they put his picture up on the left field video board, and he got like a 3-minute standing ovation. And it really crystallized why that video board is so great. It's the emotional amplifier. And when that happened, I thought of Ernie's 500th, and I thought, How cool would it have been for the fans in the ballpark that day to look at that board and see Ernie in the moment in the dugout? And for so much of Cubs history, the fans at the ballpark really didn't get to see the players in the middle of the game. So kind of bringing it forward to the modern era, I think that's why that video board is so great at the ballpark.
Yeah, you're right, Len. It's essential now because everybody's looking at their iPhone and looking elsewhere. They're not watching the game like they used to. You had to because there was no replay back then. But in 1970, there was no social media. And, taking it a step further, my Ernie Banks' favorite moments were the times that I got to spend with him in 13 and 14 before he passed away. And him telling me one time when we were just sitting at the East Bank Club with our good friend Mike Romano, just sitting there and him saying, people think they know me, but they really don't. My job was to make them relax when they saw me because sometimes they didn't know what to say. So I would ask them a whole bunch of questions and kind of diffuse the whole thing. But most people never really got to know Ernie Banks or anything about me because I didn't allow them to. I was just trying to get through the moment for them. There's very few people that know who I really am.
Well, I was never lucky enough to meet Mr. Cub, but my father, he went out to dinner with Ernie Banks and Bill Buckner. So on the mantle at my parents' house, I do have an Ernie Banks autograph ball that says Harmony, Ernie Banks, and he put my name on it. So that's a little piece, if I can add to this topic right here, guys. Now, there's still more to come right here on Cubs 360. And is it a walk-off? Is it stealing home? Is it robbing a home run? When it comes to most exciting play in all the game, what is it? Of course, we're going to discuss that right here next on Cubs 360.
That was really cool, guys, just to hear those different stories.
Is there anybody else here, including all the guys in the truck and studio, that ever stole home in the big leagues?
I was
Cole,
at the game when Jacoby Ellsbury stole home.
Cole, I was not going to say stealing home was the most exciting play, but I will now. I mean,
when was the last time somebody stole home?
I think
Len,
I'm
do
still
you know,
the last
Bruce?
pitcher to.
Well, I'm thinking Sut as a good note here.
Notch, do you have
Go ahead,
the
Sut.
last person to steal home was?
I think I'm the last pitcher to have stole home.
Did you steal home?
What year was it?
Like 87 or 88.
Okay.
I mean, I'm the first guy. A guy named Kevin Gross. He wasn't too bad.
I was going to say,
how many misplays did it take? Sud, how many misplays?
It was only one misplay. I did it standing up too, Bruce. You ought to remember. You were around.
I know. There was a rundown, right? Wasn't there a rundown that you
between
ended up
first and second, and then it was
of course.
blur. Me going to home.
A blur, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into that for the D block here. About 30 seconds per answer. I'll tell you what. We'll end on Rick and his story. So we'll start with Bruce, then we'll go Len, and then Rick will end on you, and then we'll wrap up the show.
And we're coming back off of that Korean baseball walk-off, right? Yep,
we're coming back off the Korean baseball walk-off from this morning. So like I said, about 30 seconds here, and yep. We'll have some fun. Dusold, you ready to go? All right, here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Oh, KBO baseball, all about that bat flip. And when Doug Glanville and Brian Kenny go head-to-head on Play at Home Trivia, someone's going to get their bat flip on. So until then, let's reconvene with the fellas, Bruce, Len, and Rick back here on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite. And baseball, as we saw, guys, back in South Korea. And we saw the walk-off, a term that was coined by the one and only Dennis Eckersley. And when it comes to baseball's most exciting play, is it that? Is it maybe stealing home? Or you know what, Rick, I'll just let you go.
You know what? To me, I was going to say any kind of a walk-off hit, particularly knowing that it's at home and giving the crowd an opportunity to be involved with it. But Cole, I mean, when you mentioned stealing home, knowing that I'm the only guy on this panel at the big league level that ever did that, I know how exciting it was for me. Actually, kind of boring because I was able to do it standing up. I mean, now you know why I was the first baseball player that Nike ever signed to wear their shoe.
I'm I'm gonna. I think I saw that play. We won't go into it, but it was an exciting moment. For me, the most exciting play in baseball. It's not the walk off. It's not the triple. It's not the steal at home. To me, it's the relay play. A guy is on base at first. There's a double into the gap. Then the relay from the outfielder to the infielder to home plate and the tag out. To me, three people have to do their job perfectly. The outfielder to the infielder to the catcher and the tag to make that play. To me, that's the most exciting play in baseball.
Yeah, I'm with you, Bruce. As a play-by-play announcer, it's bottom of the ninth or later, tie game, one-run game, what have you, runner at first, gapper. So many things are going on. You got the third base coach just doing this, come on, come on, come on, and you've got potentially 2 to 3 throws, and on both sides, things really have to go perfectly. So that was going to be my answer, but then I heard Rick Sutcliffe's answer, and I got to go Sut stealing home. That's it.
Going with Sut stealing home. No one going with the suicide squeeze. I mean, going from 3 guys in motion to just 2 perfection. No, nobody.
Only if Sut,
All right, well,
only if Sut does the suicide squeeze, then I'm in.
is he the
You
is he
know,
the
and if
base
it-
runner or is he the one laying down the butt?
You can
I'm
watch
not
it on the
either,
marquee. Hey, you can watch it on the Marquee Network as John Lester does it against Seattle. You'll see that numerous times.
But I got to tell you, to
So
me,
that's
if
that
it weren't
Mr. Cup
stealing home,
360 perfect plug.
my most exciting play in baseball was when Don Zimmer would come out to argue with an umpire. I rest my case.
There you have it. And with
That's
that,
good.
this show is in the books. So for everybody at Marquee Sports Network, including Bruce, Len, and Sut, I'd like to say thank you. I'm Cole Wright. Another Cubs 360 coming your way tomorrow. Stay safe, everybody.
Really fun there at the end. That was a good show. A lot of good intellectual thoughts early on, some fun stories on the back end. Len, I need you to hang around, and Cole and Sutcliffe, we're going to need you to hang around too. But Bruce, you're good to go. Len, just going to email you some reads real quick. They're similar to yesterday.
Okay.
All right,
Bruce,
guys,
thank
take
you.
care.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Good times. Take
Bruce.
care.
Later, Bruce. Good stuff today, man.
See you guys.
I'll hear you on the score soon.
See you, Bruce.
So, Rick, you said
You're
you're
emailing
playing today?
or texting?
I am
just
playing
shot
today.
you.
I'm thinking.
Second
I
here.
got the grandson downstairs waiting on me.
Nice. Yeah, I'm playing today, too. I played yesterday. I played all right. I shot a 43, which is,
That'll
for
work.
me, it's
That'll
all right. I'll take it.
That'll always work. You need to get that daughter out there with you. There's a lot of Division I scholarships for ladies golf.
Absolutely. There's the most unclaimed scholarships nationwide every year.
You got it. You got it. Yeah.
I have the
Hitting
email,
ball
Andrew.
All right, great.
Last year,
Hey,
100 yards.
so just making sure we're still rolling here. We're just going to have Len do a quick 2 sales reads.
Let me know when you're ready. And this is just audio you're using, right?
Yep. You can count yourself
Okay.
in.
Okay. Here's number 1, 3, 2, 1. Time now for the Wrigley Weather Watch presented by WeatherTech. As you can see, the wind blowing in from center field at 9 miles per hour. It can fluctuate quickly here at Wrigley Field, but we are just moments away from the first pitch. It's going to be difficult for any hitter to go deep in the first few innings of this game.
Hey, Len, we're just going
And
to have
number
you.
2.
Sorry, we're just going to have you redo that first one. We took an audio hit, so we'll just have you redo it, please.
Got it.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 1, 3, 2, 1. Time now for the Wrigley Weather Watch presented by WeatherTech. As you can see, the wind blowing in from center field today at 9 miles per hour. It can fluctuate quickly here at Wrigley Field, but as we are just moments away from the first pitch, looks like it'll be difficult for any hitter to go deep in the first few innings of this game. And here's number 2, 3, 2, 1. Time now to examine how the weather has played a factor in today's game, presented by WeatherTech. The wind usually plays a big role here at Wrigley Field, often changing from inning to inning. JD, what did you see today? Does that work?
That's great. Thank you, Len. Appreciate it. Good show today.
Okay. Thanks, guys. See you
Take care,
Thursday,
everybody.
Sut. I'll talk soon. Okay.
Look forward to it. Take care, Cole.
So Sut, now we still need you and Cole here. We're just going to tape a quick interview with you to so we can use it later on a day down the road when there isn't as much news. So we'll still have some exciting stuff.
Cole,
How about this though, Miller?
Yeah, go ahead.
We'll just talk about the starters. You know, who excites you, the bullpen, anyone that you saw down there, spring training that that really gets you going. You know, the back and forth with the spring trainings 1 and 2. You know, how are their arms adjusting? I mean, you know, back, you know, you were traded to the Cubs in '84. You won the Cy Young that year. You know, just fondest memories, and then we'll touch on some of the stuff. You know, what was it like being in Chicago at the same time as Mike, you know, MJ, because you know all this last dance stuff going on.
Yeah, at some point, as you know, when Theo brought me in to when he took over, and he has asked me every year to speak to the minor league system. I'd love to talk about that a little bit and maybe lead that into a story about Michael Jordan on some of the things that I chatted with them about.
Okay.
You might just, like, if you want, start off with, like, you know, your role in spring training is that of a guest instructor. You have been since 2012. What does that involve? You can phrase it a lot better than I can.
I was saying earlier, Rick, you know, you're doing your first Cubs 360 today, and I did my first baseball tonight with you and Booney. I can't hear Rick. Did Rick cut out?
Yeah, we're checking on that right now. So I think Rick can hear us. We just can't hear him right now.
You can't hear him?
If you can hear us, Rick, can you nod your head up and down? Okay, we can't hear you anymore. Can I ask you to sign out and sign back in real quick?
Yeah,
Cole,
Miller,
just as a head.
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. What do you got?
I was just saying, just after all this, we just have a sales read from you. Quick, 15, 20 seconds. Okay. I just gave that to you just as a heads up. But what were you going to say?
I did my Rick was doing, you know, this is his first Cubs 360. I did my first baseball tonight with Sut.
Yeah, that's it's crazy how long ago was that? That was.
Can you hear
me? 12.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
we can.
I got you, Sut. I was just telling Andrew Miller that I did my first baseball tonight with you, Sut. What happened to him? Is he gone?
Yeah, hold on. He froze, but it says he logged in.
Is he back? There he is. I don't hear him.
Test 1, 2.
There he is.
Gotcha.
Hello.
Go ahead, Cole.
You got me, Rick? Rick, you got me?
Rick, can you hear us?
I don't think he hears me.
Anybody there?
I got
Hello?
you. You hear me, Rick? Whoops.
3, 4, 5. Hello.
Rick, can you hear me here? Test, Rick, can you hear me?
Rick, do you hear us? Hey, Rick. Not if you can hear us. All right. Riley, yeah, if you could just give him a call and just try to get it back in, please.
Want Cole to do his read now, or still wait?
Yeah. You want to send it? I can just knock it out.
Yeah.
It's only
Yeah, for sure. It should be in your email.
email?
Your Gmail.
My Gmail?
Yeah.
Cool. Boom. Let's see. What'd you send it as?
Sales, I believe.
I don't see it. When did you send it?
Oh, sorry. You know what? It was stuck in drafts. You should see it any second now.
Boom. Here we go. Ready? Let's see if I can get it. Let's see if we can just hammer it without a read, without a look at it. Cold read. Let's see if we can do it just for fun.
Let's do it.
To stay sharp. And 3, 2, 1. Time now for a Wrigley Weather Watch presented by WeatherTech. Now, as you can see, right now at 2:13 p.m., the NL flags, they're blowing in from left to right at 11 miles per hour. Now, it's going to be somewhat difficult for any hitter to leave the yard today, but the wind, well, it could be John Lester's best friend this afternoon as he can attack the zone and pitch to contact without worrying about fly balls hitting the seats. We'll keep you posted if the wind changes throughout our pregame show.
Pro.
There we go.
Riley's just talking to Rick to get him back in now. Just, like 8 minutes or something with him, couple questions back and forth.
With Ricky, I don't know. I'll tell you what, man. Pistons fans, they won't let it quit. They're like, oh yeah, we beat the Bulls, blah blah blah. We beat them 3 out of 4 playoffs, blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, man, but you guys had 4 All-Stars on the team, and then 3 when the Bulls only had 2, and then you still had All-Stars on your squad up until like '92.
Yeah,
so, like,
it's not like that team fell apart,
And then them cats make more excuses like, well, we beat the Bulls back in the day. Like, yeah, but you couldn't continue to beat them. Like, if these Pistons fans don't stop.
Do you know?
Like, they're always hanging their hat on, like, yeah, we beat them, this, that, and the other. I'm like, well, yeah, you guys should have beat them more. Like, why'd you only win 2?
You just getting in Twitter beefs, or you know people from Detroit?
No. But like, some guy was, one of my buddy Ryan Field, who, Notch and Malik know Ryan. He's from Detroit. He's a big Pistons fan, but he's always saying like, yeah, well, we beat you guys, blah blah blah. I'm like, well, why didn't you guys win more?
Hey, Rick.
Hello.
There he is. He's back. You got us?
Yeah. Cole, I got a
You hear me now?
call, and yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. And knocked you off. You got it. Well, I was just saying how I did my first baseball tonight with you, man.
Yeah. Aaron Boone, Cole,
Yep.
as you are, they're basically just using me as a ladder. That's what Aaron Boone did. That's what David Ross did. You guys just keep stepping on me to get to where you want. So,
right?
And I'm okay with
telling
that.
you.
I'm happy.
Valet
right
service.
We're just gonna get framed up real quick, and then we'll knock this out.
Rick, I was just talking about how all these Pistons fans coming up with all these excuses. Well, like, wait, the Pistons were old when the Bulls started winning. I'm like, yeah, they still had All-Stars and Hall of Famers on the floor.
Yeah. I was at a lot of those games. You probably were too. I mean, I got to know Michael real well. His dad was a huge baseball fan. He was at Wrigley Field a lot. And, went to a lot of games, did a lot of charity events with Michael. We both got to Chicago at the same time, '84.
Mm-hmm.
All right, hold on. Let's save it for real. We're ready to go. Cole, I'll let you count yourself in, and we'll go for a few minutes here.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. Let's welcome in 1984 Cy Young Award winner Rick Sutcliffe to Cubs 360. And Rick, we're going to talk about that summer of 1984 in just a little bit, but let's focus on 2020 because the season hopefully will be underway very soon. And when it comes to the pitching staff and you look at those starters, I know that's your specialty. So is there any one starter that jumps off the page that really excites you headed into the year?
I think it excited a lot of people, Cole, the second half of last year, watching what Yu Darvish was able to do. He was absolutely dominant, probably as dominant as far as statistics are concerned as anybody in the game of baseball. But I think maybe the guy that kind of went unnoticed is the guy they talk about being the fifth starter. Yeah, a couple of years ago when they signed Tyler Chatwood, it kind of looked like it might have been a mistake after the first couple of years. He started putting it together last year. He and Tommy Hotovy really hit it off, the Cubs' first-year pitching coach, and he was as dominant as any pitcher that I saw in Arizona up to the point where spring training was cut off.
Okay, Rick, starters aside, how about the relievers? The bullpen, it's somewhat inexperienced, but the one thing that I saw down there at spring training was all these guys are 6'5" to 6'7", and they all throw hard. Is there any one reliever in particular that piques your interest?
Well, I'm a huge Rowan Wick fan. As you guys know, I became a big fan of his last spring. He had like 5 or 6 really good outings, and then all of a sudden he gave it up. And I can tell he was furious. He was just beside himself. And part of the role that Theo Epstein has given me is the opportunity in game to talk to a young pitcher or two. And I went up to him, and Cole, I shared an experience that I had when I was a rookie in spring training with the Dodgers. Same kind of thing. I had a good roll going, and then I gave it up. When Walter Alston, the manager of the Dodgers, came to the mound to take the ball from me, as I was walking off, he looked at me and he said, "Kid, you had it coming." Well, I stopped. I mean, immediately I'm mad already, and now I'm mad at what he said. And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, you have been pitching so well. There was no doubt at some point they were going to get you. He goes, "After this outing here, you're going to go out and start another really good run." He was right then. And when I shared that with Rowan Wick in spring training last year, the next thing you know, he went on a good roll. And as we all know, eventually got to the big leagues in 2019.
Yeah, it's almost like when you're out there on the golf course and you start stringing too many pars and birdies together, you know that bogey or that double bogey is going to be right around the corner before you get things back intact. Now, you talked about Theo Epstein, and he brought you on with the Cubs as a guest instructor back in 2012. And, Rick, you've really been able to create a special bond with a lot of different minor leaguers, haven't you?
I really have, Cole. As you say that, the first thing I think of is I go back to the first year I did it, and I spoke at the old clubhouse at Wrigley Field, and one of the players I talked to was Javi Baez, and we've had a great relationship ever since then. I've always not just gone down there by myself, because there's a lot of these guys that weren't born back when I was playing, particularly in '84. So I've always kind of put together a combination of guys. I've taken David Ross and John Lester. I've taken Brizzo, KB and Riz down there. When I took Kyle Hendricks, with the professor, I didn't need to take anybody else. There was a year I took Rhino and Andre Dawson down there. And I think of, the things that I really put as much preparation into that speech as any game that I've ever done for anybody. You talk about voices and choices. You're going to listen to somebody. Who is it? You're going to have choices to make. Chicago's a tough down. I talk about to fall or to fail and how they look a lot alike, but there's a difference when you look up the definition. I talk about being a great teammate and how that was a big part of the reason ESPN hired me, was because when they did a background check, a lot of the guys said that they enjoyed playing with me. But I think the number one thing that I had an opportunity to share with them was something Doug Collins taught me about Michael Jordan. And what separated Michael Jordan was something that he learned when he was at North Carolina from Dean Smith. And I used to hand it out, Cole, to every player, the word HALT, big letters, HALT. What does that stand for? Well, H stands for hungry. And hungry means not only for food, but for your soul. What does the A stand for? It stands for angry. Passion is okay, but anger is not. When you think about L, it stands for lonely. It's okay to be alone, but it's not okay to be lonely. Make a phone call, talk to somebody. And then, of course, the T stands for tired. You got to take care of yourself. And what Michael Jordan always shared with people, and I had an opportunity to do a bunch of charity events with him to hear him speak about that, was the fact that when one of those four things sneaks into your day, that's when you're more than likely, Cole, to make a mistake. And that is something that I've shared with the minor league players every year. There's always going to be new players that come in. I think it's something that when I first learned it, has been really important in my life. And I think it really has kind of carried on to maybe a couple of the guys that we've talked to in spring training.
Rick, you make mention of Michael Jordan, and we've all been watching his airness on The Last Dance every single Sunday on ESPN. And you guys came to the city of Chicago the same year, 1984, when you were traded. That was Mike's rookie season. That was the year you won the Cy Young Award. What was that summer like?
Wow. I not only, Cole, think about that summer, but I think about the latter part of the 80s to be in Chicago. Yeah, the Cubs finally make the postseason for the first time in a long time. This kid named Michael Jordan put on a Bulls uniform. The following year, as we know, the Chicago Bears won the Super Bowl. The hockey team was always exciting. The Blackhawks were always one of the toughest tickets in the world to get. I think about going to a charity event back then and how popular they were. Well, why wouldn't they be popular? You got Ryan Sandberg, you got Andre Dawson, you got Michael Jordan, you got Walter Payton, you got Mike Ditka, you got Harry Carey. The list just went on. And for anybody that was ever a sports fan, that was the time that you wanted to be in Chicago.
Now, you talked about some of the stars that were in Chicago, and it makes me instantly think of that Class for All Seasons poster with Andre Dawson, Walter Payton, and Michael Jordan. It's unbelievable. But when you talk about the guys that were on your team back in the late 80s, is there anyone that jumps off the page that really sticks out to you? I mean, I know that there's tons of stories with you and Mark Grace.
Yeah, there are. I respect Mark Grace really as much as anybody I ever played for a lot of reasons. For one, Mark Grace enjoyed his life. He enjoyed off the field as much as he did on the field. And the fact that he was so successful at both was truly amazing. Cole, as you know, I don't know if everybody knows, Mark Grace led the decade of the 90s in base hits. He also led that decade in doubles. We know what an outstanding defensive player he was. It wasn't Mark Grace's fault that the Chicago Cubs as a team collectively during that decade weren't very good. We know what he was able to do when he got on a good team and he went to Arizona. With that base hit he got off of Mariano Rivera, he helped the Diamondbacks win that World Series. I really was shocked that Mark Grace did not get more notice from the Hall of Fame. I think he was a much better player than what they gave him credit for. Now, when you talk about the fun that we had with Mark Grace, the list goes on and on. I mean, I love the fact that he's a rookie once again with the Marquee Sports Network, because I'm going to treat him as a rookie here, just like I did as a player with the Cubs. And we all know, for those of you that don't know, the story about the batting cages. We had a rain delay. I'd already been told the game was going to be rained out. I'm pitching that day. So I've kind of shut it down. Well, Mark Grace comes up to me. I had my Walkman on. He says, "Hey, can I talk to you?" I said, "What?" He says, "I noticed we're hitting in the cages." I go, "So?" He goes, "I don't know where the cages are." Well, Cole, while all this is going through my mind, I decide instead of sending him out across the field to where the cages were under the bleachers in right center field, yeah, you're right. I sent him up into the crowd.
Sluggers.
I sent him all the way around the field into the St. Louis Cardinals clubhouse. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say you sent him across the street to Sluggers to go get in that batting cage as he had to walk through the intersection and everything. All right. Now, when it comes to Mark Grace, as you said, he led the decade in doubles as well as hits. And when it comes to the alternative rock charts, I think Pearl Jam and Eddie Vedder, they may have led the decade in hits as well. You have some cool Mark Grace stories, but do you have one that could top that with an Eddie Vedder story? Excuse me.
Wow. I think of being on stage when he was at Wrigley. I got an opportunity to do the same thing when Pearl Jam played at Fenway Park. I think the story, as you were saying that comes to mind was during the playoffs in 2015. Joe Madden brings a magician in, and the magician was doing all these card tricks, and everybody was around. And Kerry Wood and Ryan Dempster and Eddie Vedder and I were invited to be a part of that. And all of a sudden, the magician looked at Eddie and he goes, "Hey, on this piece of paper, write down who your favorite all-time Cub was." And he went around to a couple other people, one of them being Pedro Strop. And he comes back to Eddie and he goes, "Eddie, okay, open it up. Tell me who your favorite all-time Chicago Cub was." Eddie opens it up, and of course we all know. He said, "Jose Cardinal." And he went around to a couple of other guys, and then Pedro Strop was sitting at the table. And he goes, "Hey, Pedro, hey, hold on." He goes, "Before you open up to tell me who your favorite Cub player is, wow, where'd you get that really nice watch?" Cool. Pedro looked at the watch and he goes, "I don't know. It's not mine." And all of a sudden from the back, you hear Eddie Vedder goes, "That's my damn watch."
How did Stroke get his watch?
None of us know. The next thing you know, the magician had taken it off of Eddie and put it on Pedro Strop. Eddie didn't know how he lost it. Pedro didn't know how he got it.
There you go. There you go. The magician right there working a little trickery as he maneuvered his way through the crowd. Rick, when you take a look at 2020, I don't want any tricks here, but I do want a prognostication when it comes to the season once it finally does get underway. What are your expectations out of this team?
Well, I think a lot like it was last year, and to where the big question was the bullpen. And we know what happened with the bullpen the first half of the season. I think a lot of confidence might have been lost by the team as far as being able to hold on to a lead late in the game. There's going to be a lot of new faces in that bullpen. But after seeing them the first, maybe 3-4 weeks of spring training, a lot of those guys were down there, the young guys in particular, the 1st of February. So I got a really good look at all of them. I think there might be more talent in that Cub bullpen going into 2020 than any other bullpen that I've ever seen or been a part of with the Chicago Cubs. And when you think about when it starts and if it starts, when we get back on the field, the bullpen's going to be more important than the starting rotation because they're not going to have time to prepare for the rotation to get that length. I think there'll be very few guys that are able to go 5 innings, possibly 6 innings for what they now call a quality start. So I think the length, the quality, and the quantity of that bullpen is going to be really important. I'm excited about the way the Chicago Cubs pen looks right now.
Yeah, the bullpen, always a huge part to any winning franchise. And Rick Sutcliffe, you're one of the backbones for us here at Marquee Sports Network and Cubs 360. Thanks so much for stopping by and giving us your time.
It's always a pleasure to be with you, Cole. Thanks for being a part of it as well.
That was
Thanks,
great.
Rick.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it. Good stuff for sure.
I apologize for all the technical stuff, guys. We'll get it worked out.
Absolutely.
No worries.
Hit him long today, man.
Everybody be safe. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks,
Absolutely.
Rick. See ya.
Later, Rick.
Cole, we're all
Good stuff,
set. Thanks
All
for
set?
doing
Good stuff,
that
man.
additional one. Thank you. Appreciate it.